Hi, I decided to do a tutorial on how to make a Christmas cake or a wedding cake, but basically this is a traditional recipe. Now don't worry, I know a lot of people are intimidated by even tackling a Christmas cake, but I'm going to prove to you that it's quite simple. All you need to do is a little bit of preparation in advance. So the night before, place some currants, sultanas and raisins, glazed cherries and peel in a bowl. This is for a 10-inch round cake. The recipe I will place below for you to follow. And I put them all in a bowl and I mix them evenly through so that they're all distributed evenly. Okay, then I add 6 tablespoons of brandy and well, maybe a little bit more for look. Okay, and I mix that through again, and then I place with cling film, and that just rests overnight. And what happens is the brandy absorbs into the fruit and plumps them up and gives it that delicious Christmassy taste. So this is going to stay overnight covered, and I'll be back shortly, but it'll actually be the next morning to show you how to make the cake. Hi there. So I've soaked my fruit overnight, and because I needed the larger bowl, I've transferred it to a slightly smaller bowl and covered it. But all of the brandy is now absorbed into the fruit. I've lined a 10-inch cake tin with greaseproof paper or parchment paper, and also put some in the bottom. So I'll move that out of the way. And it's not to frighten you, because I know people are intimidated by the thought of making a Christmas cake. I'm just going to break this down in simple terms. So in a large bowl you'll need 450 grams of unsalted butter and 450 grams of soft brown sugar. Make sure that the butter is at room temperature and it's not hard, because it's going to be very difficult to work with. There is a lot in there, but this is to make a rather large 10-inch Christmas cake. So what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to cream these both together using a handheld whisk, and I'm going to whisk it until the brown sugar has dissolved into the butter and is of a relatively smooth consistency. But I'll be right back and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've creamed the butter and the sugar together, and it should be a soft consistency. It's really important that you use soft butter rather than the one that's just come out of the fridge. Take it out the night before. It'll make things a lot easier. This isn't a small cake. This is rather big with a lot of ingredients. So using softened butter, it will make things a lot easier, and your arm won't ache. Okay. Now you also need 8 whole eggs. Yes, 8 whole eggs. And I've cracked them all in a bowl, or in a jug here. And plain flour. You can use self-raising. I've got 450 grams of plain flour. You can use self-raising, but I think it becomes too light. I don't want it to be a sponge cake. I want it a little bit more dense, maybe. Still light in texture, but a denser consistency, and plain flour works. So I'm just going to move this out of the way and bring my plain flour in. You'll need some mixed spice, and I've got some ground nutmeg here. So I'm going to set up now and show you what to do. Okay, you'll need 1 level teaspoon of mixed spice, and I add that to the flour. Okay, 1 level teaspoon, and I like to add nutmeg. If you haven't got the ground nutmeg, you can use powdered, and you'd need a little bit less than half a teaspoon. So I'm just going to grate some of the nutmeg in here for the Christmassy taste. Okay, and then I'm going to add a third of this to my cream, sugar and butter. And although I don't use self-raising flour, I still want it light. Although I want a dense texture, I still want it light. So I actually sieve a third of the flour into the mixture. I don't just add the flour, I sieve it in. So I'm going to add a third now. That's about a third. Sieve that in. Sorry if I'm in your way. Sieve that in. Okay, and a third of the egg. And I'm going to add the third of the egg and I'm going to beat that through with the whisk. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, I've incorporated all of the flour and all of the eggs, and as you can see, it's looking pretty good already. It's very heavy, this bowl. Very heavy. There's a lot of ingredients inside, so I'm going to add some black treacle. And I add 1.5 tablespoons of black treacle. And I'm not shy with it, okay? So I add it at this point. I don't add it after the fruit because you're going to have trouble incorporating it. So I add it before I add the fruit. So there's 1 tablespoon, like that, and then half of 1, and that should be it. So adding half now. It's nice texture, isn't it? Look at it. It'll actually add to the rich flavour of the Christmas cake, and give it that classic flavour that we all recognise. And then I'm just using the tin of golden syrup here, but I'm just going to add half a tablespoon of that. That's it. Okay. Just a little bit of golden syrup just to help that out, and then with a large spoon, I'm going to incorporate that through, mixing and folding. Okay. I was just thinking there earlier, it is a lot of cake. You don't have to make it 10-inch. I'm sure a 6 or 7-inch would be fine, to be honest with you, but this is actually going to be a wedding cake. So I've incorporated the black treacle through like this, and now I'm going to add the fruit. I'll be right back. When it comes to adding the fruit, try not to add it all at once. It's very heavy. Drop it in batches, so drop some in. See, there's a lot. Oh, it smells beautiful with the brandy. And then fold that through before adding the final amount. Oh, my wrist. I've got a poorly wrist anyway, so this doesn't help, I have to say. That's why a large spoon's a lot easier. And once that's roughly incorporated throughout, add the final amount of dried fruit and fold it in. I'll do that now. I'll be back in a tick. Okay, we're on the home straight now. I've mixed all of the fruit through, and it's really important that it's evenly folded through and that all of the fruit are coated by the cake mixture. Alright, that's just a pointer. I'm trying to think of things, because it's for beginners, I have to try and think of all the little things that we don't know that's obvious. because you've got your preheated oven on 140 degrees if it's fan assisted, I think that's gas mark 1. Yes. Now it's all totally incorporated, I'm going to add it to my cake tin. I would normally do it on camera, but I haven't got a lot of room here. I'm a very messy worker, and this is so heavy. I'm going to have to use 2 hands, and I'll probably be in the way of everything, so I'm going to pour it in and show you what to do next, because I actually cover the cake tin in extra greaseproof paper around it. It'll need to go in the oven for about 5 hours. I check on it on 4.5 hours, and then let it go till 5, and then it's a case of trial and error. Depending how large your eggs were and how runny, how much brandy you put in will affect the cooking time, but about 5 hours on 140. If it takes a little bit longer, it takes a little bit longer. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to pour this in, and I'll be right back. Let's hope my wrist doesn't break. Okay, I've put the mixture in the tin, and I'm just going to press it down now, ensuring that the cake mixture goes to the edge. Okay, and I usually start from the center and push out. Alright, I'm in an awkward position. I'm just going to try my best with what I've got. Alright, pushing it out to the edge from the center. And what I'm looking for is an even spread. Alright, so that it's even, because I want it level, or to bake as level as I can. Because it's plain flour, it doesn't rise as much as it would if it had self-raising flour in it, which is good. Because this is quite high. This is very high. Alright, this is amazingly high. Christmas cakes or wedding cakes are certainly never normally this high. They're usually slithers of a thing. I've seen them. So they're going to be pretty impressed when this is actually baked and is ready to eat. So I've leveled that down as far as I can at the angle that I'm in. I've put some parchment paper or greaseproof paper around it, and using kind of I haven't got any string, so I improvise, and I've just got some foil which I rolled into a long rope. So this is what I do. String would be probably a better option, but I lift up the greaseproof paper from either side and put the rope around, so allowing a little bit of a vent at the top. You need somewhere for the steam to go and for it to actually bake evenly. So I'm going to do that off camera and show you what it looks like. And voila! Now, a lot of people actually put something like a piece of round greaseproof paper with a hole in the centre on the top, but I don't feel that it needs that, to be honest. I haven't burnt a cake yet. You only burn a cake if it's on far too high or in for far too long. As I say, I will check this in 4.5 hours time, and if I think it's ready, it will come out. If it doesn't, it will stay till 5 hours, and then I'll check it again. If it's still not ready, I'll let it go again. It's basically what you have to do. If I was to tell you, right, this cake will take 5 hours, you could actually burn it, because at 4.5 hours it was actually ready. What I will say is the smell that will come from that oven will be amazing, and it'll permeate the house for hours, or in fact at least a day. it will smell wonderful. So thanks for watching. I will show you what it looks like in 5 hours time of when it gets out of the oven. So see you in 5 hours. Bye. Here it is. It's been in the oven actually 4 hours and 40 minutes, not quite 5. As I did say before, it should take about 5 hours, but please check it around about 4.5 hours to make sure, because it all depends on how much brandy you used and how large of eggs that you've used. The smell is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you can see. It's a deep brown colour. It's very, very hot, and it'll take probably 6 hours to be totally cool. What I'll do is I'll remove this parchment paper from the cake in about half an hour and put it onto a cooling rack. And then once it's totally cool, I'll rewrap it in fresh greaseproof paper and put it in an airtight container. As you can see, I used this greaseproof paper all around the cake and tied some foil around it. You can use string. I didn't seal the top or anything like that, and it hasn't burnt at all. As I say, they usually only burn if you've got the temperature too high or in too low, or both. So I'm going to leave it now. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. There'll be more coming. I'm doing a fondant penguin tutorial shortly. So stay tuned, and thanks for your time. Bye.